Hey kids, it's Mr. Flaw here, hope you're well. Out and about on an absolutely beautiful winter's day on a pretty special bike. Today I'm riding the Indian Challenger. It's an absolutely massive cruiser bagger type Americana bike. Stick around and stay tuned, I'll tell you what I think of it. So folks, I've literally just jumped onto this massive bike thanks to those nice people up at Krazy Horse in Bury St Edmunds, an area I don't know very well at all, so I'm taking a random ride here. Luckily the Indian has got a big old sat-nav right in front of me, so theoretically at least I shouldn't get lost. So what's the first thing that strikes me about the Indian Challenger when I jump on and ride it then? Well, it's pretty obvious. The first thing, it's absolutely massive. Now I'm lucky enough to have ridden a few pretty large motorcycles in my time, but I don't think anything has felt quite so big as this, mainly because of this big frontal area that you've got in front of you, which looks just, well, absolutely bizarre. There's nothing quite like it. But what it does do for you on this very cold day is give you amazing weather protection. So I'm sat here basically in completely still air, which is handy when it's only 4 degrees as it is today. So I'm out here in the depths of Suffolk. Not necessarily the natural habitat of a big cruiser bike like this, of course. These really, I assume, designed, well, definitely designed for the American market. Oh, steaming up in here. And this has all the classic American features that you'd expect. Big V-twin engine, 1.8 litre. I think it's Indian's biggest engine that they've made on a bike. And this particular big Indian is a bagger type machine, so that means basically you've got the big saddlebags in the back. So built for comfortable cruising, not back lane blasting. That said, how does she handle? Well, these roads are fairly tight and sweepy. I have to say she handles really nice. Like all these big bikes, yes, they're heavy when you're at a standstill and moving it around. You wouldn't want to move it around on a gravel driveway or something. But once you're out on the road, all the weight disappears. It handles really okay. Let's just have a look behind. Nothing behind. I'm just going to try the brakes. Front brake not great, to be fair. Back brake absolutely amazing. And I found that these big bikes really, when it comes to stopping them, quite a bit of it is about back brakes. So you've got to remember to use both brakes really. I'm used to riding smaller, lighter bikes, and you tend to use the front brake much more, but on this it's all about the back brake. Yeah, and feels much more agile than you would think, actually. Quite chuckable. Right, where am I going here? What a beautiful day. I'm recording this on November the 4th. It's the day before lockdown 2.0, and I'm so lucky to get such a beautiful day for my last riding day for a month. Alright, some of the other practical things then on the Indian Challenger. What about the switch gear and the controls? Well, I like what they've done here actually. They've got proper switch gear on here. Unlike what BMW did with the R18, their new bagger, where they've got modern switch gear. The Indian's got proper chromium switch surrounds and big buttons that you press. I like that. And although it's a very well equipped bike, it's not particularly complicated, the switch gear, which I do like on it. It's got everything you need and not much more besides in terms of the switch gear. So we have got a cruise controller standard, which is nice on a cruiser, and the little screen on here is adjustable via an up down button. Let's just give that a try because that's always novel. So there we go, that's the screen fully up. Maybe you'll see it over my head now, I don't know, because the camera is attached to the screen, of course. And actually that, with it fully up, it's kind of in my eye line at 5'8", but it does give you quite a good bit of extra protection. Always love an electric screen for some reason. I'm easily pleased. Mirrors on here work beautifully. They're nice and short, but you've got a good view behind because the handlebars are so wide, and no vibration as such on there. For a big old V-twin, it really is pretty smooth. I was expecting it to be quite lumpy bumpy, but no, it's a smooth experience. Much more so than, well, the single Harley I've ridden. It's a feet forward position on here, of course. You've got running boards on this bike, which I'm not quite used to, so I'm having to grab for the gear changer still, which is quite fun. But the riding position on here is absolutely beautiful. Let's put you back down again in case the view is not so good. So much torque on this bike. It only puts out something like, I'll go through the spec in a minute when we do the walk around, but something like 122 brake horsepower, and the torque is more than that, like it's something like 128 newton meters, or foot pounds rather, I should say. It's all about the torque on here. I'm in third gear at the moment, lazily rolling along, and well, basically you just leave it in that all day. You can pull away, you can go fast, you can go slow, it doesn't care. Just makes for a really relaxing ride. Nice low seat height as well, which you need on a bike like this, so you can get your legs down and feel confident when you come to a halt. And with the footboards on here, it's really a comfortable place to be. Seats beautifully padded. And I mentioned the big wide handlebars, so you've got lots of leverage as well. I mean, I wouldn't want to be filtering through London traffic on it, but yeah, for lazy riding, brilliant. Right, I'm going to get a chance to overtake this car. Listen to that engine, it just sounds epic. It looks epic and it sounds epic. Just lovely through these bends with these big heavy bikes. They just feel planted when you turn them. If I knew these roads, I'd be tempted to squirt past the Volkswagen in front, because this bike feels like it's got an awful lot of go to give. Oh, there's a lay-by there, which would have been perfect for doing me walk around. Oh well. You can't see it, but I've got a big grin on my face, and that is the most important thing about a motorcycle, isn't it? This is definitely a grin inducer. It's brilliant. The controls on here, the clutch and the brake, they just feel massive. The clutch actually is pretty light considering. I think it might have some sort of slip assist clutch on here. The front brake feels quite hard when you pull it, and it doesn't do a lot when you pull it either, as I mentioned. Whereas the VAT brake is epic. In terms of the instrumentation on here, you've got what looks like a car dashboard here. Massive sat-nav in front of you. But conventional instruments in terms of a rev gauge and speedometer, with all the usual stuff that you need, including a fuel gauge, I'm glad to say. Lovely and clear. Of course, as with American cruisers, you've got a big radio system, big music system on here. I'm not going to try that. I've got a bit of a thing about music on bikes. I like to hear the engine. But given the size of these speakers, I'm sure it sounds incredible. I'm trying to find something I don't like about it so far, actually. I really can't. I mean, the styling of this bike isn't necessarily to my taste. When I first saw this bike, I thought, not sure about that big fairing. I understand why it's there. It makes for a practical edition. But maybe the looks aren't quite to my taste, so maybe that's the thing that I'll put down as not for me. But in terms of riding it, it's beautiful. I was lucky enough to borrow the big old Honda Goldwing for the summer. It doesn't feel dissimilar to that. Given it's a big twin version as a 6-cylinder, that's quite something. What a lovely little place this is. Let's come and explore one day. Right. My next part of the mission is to find somewhere sensible to stop and show you around the bike, and I'll talk you through the spec. Ah, he's gone, excellent. Wow, just listen to that. Woo! Once you start to wind her up, there is a little bit of vibration through the seat once you wind her up, but well, that just gives the bike character. You want a bit of that with this sort of bike, don't you? It's not intrusive in any way. This is a comfortable, well-padded seat, so the vibes don't get in the way like they can do on smaller bikes. The suspension on here feels really plush, actually. I can't remember off the top of my head whether it's adjustable or not, but it feels beautiful on here. Again, these heavy bikes, they're so planted, it makes for a very comfortable ride. It just rides over the bumps when you hit them, which on a smaller, lighter bike, it might get all unsettled, but not on this. Shame I got this bus in the way now, because this is a lovely road again. Now, is this a possible walk around spot? Let's have a look. Unfortunately, I've got the sun in slightly the wrong angle here. No reverse gear or anything like that on here, unlike the Goldwing that I borrowed earlier in the year. So you've got to be really careful when you're manoeuvring her. So I'll just paddle her around a bit to get her into a bit of a better angle, and then I'll talk you through the spec. Alright, hopefully I'm not going to be in the way here, but I think that'll do nicely. Let's find neutral. How hard's that? That's first. Neutral, there we go. And the side stand. Fairly easy to foot. And down she goes. Alright, splendid. Okay, to turn her off, big old button there. And she's dead. Okie dokie. Alright then, let me get the spec out and I'll talk you through this machine. Okay, here we go then. The Indian Challenger. What an absolutely massive beast this is. Before I talk you through the spec, let me just show you a couple of little features on here that I quite like. There's the little Indian chieftain's head on the front here, so you no doubt you're on Indian. There's that big front fairing that I talked about. But I'm not entirely sure I like the looks of that, but it certainly works, as I say. And there's that big old V-twin engine. Absolute beauty, isn't it? Bit of a work of art. Water-cooled, this one as well, unlike the Harleys that are, of course, air-cooled. So you could argue a bit more of a modern engine. It certainly feels it. And there's those footboards as well, with a back brake and some engine bars as well. So if you did drop it, hopefully it would protect most of the bike. Well, while I'm here, let me just show you the panniers. These are kind of central locked with a key fob. I've unlocked these, and then they there you go, they open from the top, so plenty of room in there, and great that they're top loaders as well, so quite practical. Make sure that's shut, and the key itself is hiding in this little cubby hole in here. So we open that, there we go, key fob's in there. Can you see that? So all sorts of little practical features on here. Anyway, to the spec then. So I guess this bike really is all about the engine. This is the new Power Plus engine. As I say, it's Indian's biggest engine so far. 1768cc liquid cooled V-twin. Looks like a work of art. A beautiful bit of kit. Puts out 122 brake horsepower and 128 foot-pounds of torque at 3,800 RPM. So nice and low. All about the torque on these sort of bikes, of course. Brakes on here are incredible, even though they don't work so well on the front. These are Brembos. They look like they're brakes off of a sports bike, but these are 4-pot radial calipers on a 320mm disc on the front. On the back we've got, I can't actually see it because of course the wheel is covered up by exhaust, etc. You can see the belt drive there, look. But yeah, on the back I'm informed it's got a Brembo single on a 298mm disc. Suspension on here, which does feel really good. Front has got inverted telescopic forks with 130mm of travel, and the rear has a Fox single shock with adjustability as well, with 114mm of travel. And as I say, it gives a really nice ride on this bike. Seat height on here, super comfy, 672mm, so nice and low, easy to get your feet on the deck, which you need on a bike of this weight, which while I'm talking about weight is 365 kilograms dry, or 381 kilograms wet, so similar in fact weight wise to the Goldwing that I rode earlier in the year. Tank capacity on here, the tank looks massive, but in fact it only holds, I say only, 22.7 litres of fuel. You'd expect, it looks like it would hold more, but so that's not huge for, I guess, for a bike of this type, but it's not tiny either. Electronics wise, loads of electronics, 7-inch screen on here that you saw as I was riding it. Believe it or not, it's got a quad core processor in there, so it's quite powerful. It's got Apple CarPlay, Bluetooth support, USB connectivity, all sorts of stuff in here. Power adjusted windscreen, 3 riding modes, rain, standard and sport, full LED lighting, cruise control, keyless ignition, and in this case the keyless ignition actually is quite good because, as I say, it also does central locking on those saddlebags, which is handy. Price according to the Indian website, 24,999, so 25 grand for one of these. They come in 3 flavours actually. I'm not sure which one this is. They come in the standard Challenger, the Dark Horse, which adds cornering ABS, sat nav, tyre pressure monitoring, that sort of thing, and then the Challenger Limited, which I suspect is this one because it has highway bars and chrome, so I imagine that's what this one is. Main competitors, things like the Harley-Davidson Road Glide, and then you could argue things like the BMW K1600 or indeed the Goldwing that I keep mentioning. What else to tell you? It does have an assist clutch on here. Let me show you that switch gear a bit closer. There we go, there's a switch gear on the left side, all fairly standard stuff, and on the right as well, but completely in keeping with the bike, which I like. Comes with a 2-year warranty, and then a 3-year limited one covering the engine, transmission and electronics after that, so that's pretty good. Alrighty, I think that's all there is to tell you about the bike. Anything else to show you? Let's have a walk around this side, just so you've seen both sides. All looking good. Okay, alright, that's enough of that then. Let's jump back on and ride us some more. Alright, so I brought my fancy new heated gloves today, but in fact it's getting quite warm out here. Don't think I need them after all. Alright, so to bring this back to life then, we press this big button here that looks very suspiciously computer and electronic-y, I think, to bring it alive, and this is what we get on the screen when that happens. Sort of some clouds and a nice logo. Love all that, never tire of that sort of thing. And then to actually start her up, we've got a starter button here in the usual way. Let's just get her off the side stand. Come on, there we go. Let's fire this beast up. Now, on the first ride review, I just hadn't had the chance to explore things like all the electronics and so on this bike. This is literally a sort of a test ride type ride. But there's loads of stuff on here. This is touchscreen sensitive as well, so there's all sorts of things you can do on here, which again, I haven't read the manual. I don't know what you can do on it, but anyway, let's get rid of all that, he says. My word, look at this lot. There's absolutely all oodles of stuff on here. There's Apple CarPlay if you want to set it up for that. There's the radio settings are there. There's the sat nav for the full screen. So yeah, it's all there electronic presentation wise, and then on the dash itself up here you've got a gear position indicator, which is handy, the odos as usual, and a proper fuel gauge, I'm glad to say. So everything's there you need. Alright, let's get this show back on the road then. Hopefully I can find my way back. Those front position controls always catch me out. I had to look to put where my feet went then. Listen to this thing, what a brute. Once you're moving, the handling is really good. Yeah! Oh yeah, this is nice. I never thought big cruisers and baggers and things were my sort of thing, but maybe it's just I'm getting old. But I'm finding these really good fun to ride. Why wouldn't you like riding one of these? It's absolutely brilliant. It's epic. Especially on a glorious day like this. So anyway, I must just take this opportunity to thank the guys at Krazy Horse Customs here in Bury St Edmunds for letting me borrow the bike for this review. Great bunch of people up there. Go and say hello to them. Give them a ring beforehand and get yourself a test ride on this very bike if you wish. All sorts of stuff up there. Not just Indians, but MV Augustas and all kinds of Caterham 7s and Morgans as well if you're into your cars. It's all up there. It's a great place to go, and when we're not in lockdown they've got a brilliant CAF as well. So fingers crossed for 2021 at some point everything will be operating normally again. So yeah, thanks to you guys for letting me ride the bike, and thanks to you guys for watching the video. I hope it's been of some interest. If you've not seen my channel before, then do consider subscribing. I don't just do bike reviews here on the Missenden Fly, but I try and cover a bit of everything. I'll do trips at home and abroad. I'll do bits and pieces about looking after your bike in the garage. I'll do a monthly bike news feature, the odd live stream, basically anything and everything. I'll try and cover it here on the Missenden Fly. It'd be great to have you join me next time. Alright, all that remains for me to do then is to find my way back to Krazy Horse, which is lurking around here somewhere. Hello, sir. And I look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Missenden Fly. Cheerio.